Half Moon Bay community today is again remembering 7 farm workers who died in a mass shooting 2 years ago. In just a few hours, the community will gather at a public memorial. But as Half Moon Bay continues to focus on healing, it is also moving forward with plans to improve housing for their farm workers. KTVU Fox 2 reporter Mark Sayre joins us live at Half Moon Bay this afternoon with more on that. Mark, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, Frank. The setup for the memorial is underway behind me here at what is called the Yellow House. This is just 1 block to the west of downtown Half Moon Bay, where all the shops are. If you're familiar with this community, this is an open and public memorial. And despite the mourning that this community is going through right now, even national leaders in the farm worker movement say this community is fairly unique and that both labor movements and politics and politicians are aligned to try to improve conditions for farm workers. It was 2 years ago that an employee in the farm worker community killed 4 of his coworkers at one farm and then drove more than 2 miles and killed 3 others at a second farm. And while the shootings remain a deep scar in this coastside community, the victims will never be forgotten.
As we remember their lives, we honor them, we honor the work and what they contributed and continue to contribute in many ways to this community.
Ever since the shootings, attention has been focused on the issue of substandard housing for farm workers. Already well under construction is this complex known as 880 Stone Pine, which will have 47 units and is expected to open in May. Also nearby is this city-owned property, which will be torn down and converted into another 40 units of farm worker housing for what are called senior farm workers who work until their 70s or even 80s.
People often say retired farm workers, and that's sort of a misnomer, as most farm workers do not have full-on 401k and retirement plans that allow them to retire in any kind of comfort.
While the housing numbers may still be small, San Mateo County Supervisor Ray Mueller, who represents the coastside, says nothing is easy about building in this community, but he does see positive momentum.
There is certainly a lot more work to be done around building housing, but the thing that we see generating more and more is the political will.
And national leaders in the farm worker movement say several things are different about Half Moon Bay than in some similar communities. For one, many farm workers here are multi-generational and stay in the community rather than more transitional seasonal workers. And the alignment of the industry, farm worker advocates, and political leaders is a benefit that simply does not exist in many other places.
Part of the challenge is, if you're building housing for people that are low income, there's not a lot of money in it. So who's really interested in that?
Back to a live picture here in Half Moon Bay at what's called the Yellow House. If you want to come out to tonight's public memorial, it will be held between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. here at the corner of Purísima Street and Correa Street. Again, that is just 1 block behind Main Street to the west. There will be a remembrance, a public memorial, and also a performance, a musical accordion performance by farm workers themselves, is what we're being told. That is what is happening here in Half Moon Bay. I'm Mark Sayre, KTVU. Fox 2 News. Frank, back to you.
All right, Mark, thank you for that report.